you need to completely forget about the result, right? And a lot of you guys don't seem to understand this. And the reason why this is because if you're so hyper fixated on the result, if you're so set on just having the outcome and that's the only thing driving you and that's literally the only thing that's on your mind, it's going to be significantly harder for you to get there, right? Because you could think about this in the context of a race or a road trip. You're going to be much more obligated to just stop and give up because you're constantly reminding yourself just how far you have to go or just how far you are away from this goal. And this is what a lot of you guys are doing, and this is what I used to do, not only in the gym but in the context of everything, right? When you hyper fixate on the result, when you hyper fixate on just the outcome and that's the only thing that's on your mind, you're going to start neglecting everything else, right? And this is going to lead you to being in the mental spots where, like I said, you're going to be much more likely to just tap out on the journey without you guys even realizing it. This could be one of the things, or I know for a fact at least one of you guys are dealing with this, and this is exactly what's been holding you back, right? Because you're so hyper fixated on just having the physique, and as of right now you don't have it, right? And not only that, you having this mindset or you being so set of only looking at the outcome or only looking at the end result is just going to discourage you, right? Because at the end of it all, obviously you have a long ways to go, right? Obviously you want to achieve this, obviously you want to achieve that, obviously you want to become a better version of yourself. But if you are only looking at the finish line, or if you're only looking at the ending zone of where you want to be, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? Because like I said, if you're taking some steps forward, or let's just stick to the race example. If you're taking some steps forward and you are only looking at the fact that you have 10 miles to go in this example, right? You're going to undermine every little step that you make towards that journey, and you're going to make it miserable, right? So let's say even if you were to get to the finish line, even if you were to achieve the said goal, right? You've made that whole journey only about that, and you've made it more grueling, more miserable, and you've taken out all the joy of the process simply because you keep only looking at the finish line as the only accomplishment, right? But a lot of you guys might be thinking, well, Isaiah, I have been struggling with this, so what should I do? The easiest answer to that question is to just focus on the inputs. Just focus on the identity and the inputs. That's all you have to do, right? And in this example, let's say we're like running a marathon or like having some sort of race, or you have to get to a certain distance, right? Obviously you want to hit the finish line. That's what you're in the race for. But the only way that you're actually going to be equipped enough to get into the race is if you pre-frame and pre-decided that, okay, I'm going to do this. And once you do that, then you just focus on the steps. You focus on the inputs, right? So obviously in this example, it's going to be the steps forward towards the finish line, and being proud and like being able to appreciate the smaller steps, right? I know a lot of you guys are in the gym, so let's use this, right? When I was 90 pounds, first started going to the gym, I made the mistake of being set on having this amount of body weight, and I was only focusing on that, and it made it kind of frustrating at times. But the moment that everything changed and I started making the most progress was when I just simply focused on and enjoying the inputs, enjoying the process, right? Enjoying the steps forward, because regardless of how you want to think, you can do it one of two ways, right? You can either enjoy the journey, enjoy the inputs, enjoy the fact that you have to take these steps forward and then get to the finish line, or you can make it miserable and hate every single part of it. Either way, we have to run the same race, right? Either way, you have to do the same things. You're going to have to repeatedly show up for yourself over and over and over again. You're going to fall down, have to get back up. You're going to lose progress, make crazy amounts of progress. It's going to be ups and downs, right? But at the end of the day, it's the exact same race. But the way that you are going about this race in your mind is going to dictate everything. Because if you're solely focused on the end result and you're not there yet, and you're just only counting how far you are away from the goal, you're going to be, like I said in the beginning of the video, much more obligated to just quit. And this is what a lot of you guys are doing now in the gym. You're so focused on, having some physique from some dude that you saw on Instagram, or achieving, this end goal that's going to take you realistically a couple of years to achieve, right? You get 2 weeks in and you're just like, oh man, look how far away I am from this goal. And, I've been trying my hardest for 2 weeks and I have made no progress, right? And then when you see like, oh, I've been trying my best and I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, But you're thinking in that kind of way, you're setting yourself up to fail. You understand? But the way that you can flip that is to be like, okay, obviously I want to achieve this thing. Obviously, I have these kind of goals. I have this goal. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to achieve this. I want to become the best version of me, right? Why would you choose to put yourself in the mental position to where you're making this journey miserable, right? It's already going to be hard as is. Why are you shooting yourself in the foot? Why are you putting yourself in a position to where you're going to be in a negative state of mind all the time because you're not at the end result that's going to take you years anyway, right? So the easiest way to combat this is to just focus on the smaller wins and count them, because in reality, that's the only thing that's going to get you there anyway, the smaller steps forward, right? So let's go back to the example of some of you guys that might be watching this right now. You might see some guy on Instagram, you might, want to achieve this goal, want to do this, want to do that. But if you don't have the ability to appreciate it, then like I said before, you're going to feel more obligated to quit. But if we flip that, and you count every single small win, right? You win every single day and you celebrate that day, and you're counting the small wins, right? Even if you gain half a pound in a week, or you get a little bit stronger on a lift, or you do this or you do that, and you realize, okay, I'm making progress, and you're focusing more on the short-term wins, right? That's going to ultimately get you to the long-term goal. Once you're able to do that, you're setting yourself up for success, right? Because like I said, you're going to have to do the same things anyway. But the moment that you switch your mindset to becoming, I wouldn't say obsessed, but just for the sake of this example, obsessed with the input, and being able to enjoy the work, being able to enjoy the process, right? How does the quote go? The man who loves walking is going to get much farther than someone that just wants to, run a certain distance. I don't know exactly how it goes, but you guys get the point that I'm trying to drive, right? Once you're able to really appreciate the journey and enjoy just the process alone, it's going to be inevitable that you get to the end result, right? Because you can take me, I've been lifting for 5 years now, right? If you told the 90-pound version of me, hey, it's going to take you 5 years to hit this goal that you have in mind, wouldn't he be much more discouraged than if you just told him, hey, you have to make a little bit of progress day by day? And a lot of you guys are putting yourself in this position without you even realizing it, and it's just making it worse. This is why you get caught in this roller coaster of progression, because you're expecting so much out of so little, and you're overwhelming yourself and putting yourself down for not being somewhere that's going to take you, X amount of time, right? And the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that once you're able to truly enjoy the process, right? Once you're able to truly embrace the journey and just enjoy winning the day every single day, and you're able to see and gauge, okay, I'm growing in this area, I'm growing in that area, even if it's on a small scale. If you're able to do that, then you're putting yourself in a position to get to that result regardless of what happens, right? And being much happier on the way there. Wouldn't you guys be much happier to achieve the same thing but enjoy the process? Or would you rather choose to be miserable every single day to do the same thing? And if you want to be miserable every single day, that's up to you. I can't force you to not want to hate your life. But if you apply this, it's going to make the process much more enjoyable. And then when the process is much more enjoyable and you look forward to it and you're able to embrace it, you're going to make much more progress by default, right? Because you simply just love showing up. You simply just, love going to the gym. You love, developing yourself, whatever it may be. Once you're able to love the process, the progress is going to be there regardless, right? And that's the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this video. So, not going to drag this out any longer, right? Check out my Instagram. If you want to work with me one-on-one, testimonials are on there. But if you don't, who cares? Jesus loves you though. I love you guys too. And I'll talk to you guys, today's Wednesday. Talk to you guys tomorrow.